What's up, guys? It's your boy Ty, and I appreciate you guys being here with us today. Wherever you're catching this at, I appreciate you being here. You could have been anywhere, but you're here with us, so we appreciate it. Make sure you hit a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Today, I have a guest, my man Chad, and he is on YouTube at Blue Collar Vibes. So what's up to Chad, y'all? What's up, Chad?
How you doing, man?
Good. How life treating you, man?
Fantastic, brother. Fantastic. I'm glad to be here on your show, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. So on my show, we like to talk about wealth, motivation, inspiration, and generational wealth is one of my biggest topics. So a lot of times when people come up here, I just like to see what they think about wealth and generational wealth. So I like to ask you, when you hear wealth, what do you think about?
So when I think of wealth, obviously you think about, I feel like most people probably think about money and business and things of that nature. I never grew up with money. I never grew up around money. So for me personally, when I think of wealth, I think of not necessarily the money that I have and how much is in my bank account and how much I own or how much the square footage of my house is, but I think of personal relationships, people that you have those personal relationships with, that you have commitment with, that you stick together with through every situation with. That to me is wealth in a nutshell.
Yeah, I like that. The people around you can determine the value of wealth that you actually have.
Absolutely.
Right?
The people that build you up and encourage you and inspire you and influence you. To me, that's wealth, because those are the people that are going to get you going and keep you going every single day. Not just in the good times, but the hard times too.
Yes, sir. I like it. So now I have a follow-up question. So coming up, and like I said, it sounds like you didn't have too much wealth around you, but who would you say was the wealthiest person around you? It could be in your family, outside your family, but what did you see that was like, okay, that's wealth right there?
See, that's really tough for me, because I grew up in a very poor family. I grew up in a very poor family. I grew up in a very, not poor town, but I grew up around a lot of poor people. And not just, financially poor, but just in bad situations altogether. So the wealthiest person around me, gosh, man, I don't even know, because I didn't really have anybody like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I'm just thinking of my youth. You know what I mean? I'm not even thinking now. Like now, obviously, I know plenty of wealthy people growing up. But in my youth, in my teenage years, I can't even refer to family, referring back to your first question of being around people that might have inspired me or lifted me up, because I really didn't have that growing up. If I did have to pick one person that was definitely always there for me and motivated me in my terms of wealth, it would probably be one of my best friend growing up, Dan. Because we were always together. We were always lifting each other up. We were always, influence each other. Basically, going back to your first question, and just we were constantly together, doing life together. You know what I mean? And that, like I said before, that's what it's about. Financially wise, though, I didn't know very many wealthy people at all.
It's nothing wrong with that. A lot of us rarely had truly wealthy people around us when it comes to money.
Right.
But it sounds like your friend and the bond you guys had, at the end of the day, you guys probably felt wealthy because you had each other in the bond. That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Nah, go ahead. What you got?
I was going to say that's a fact. I mean, the bond that we had, we looked out for each other. So we may not have had money or whatnot, but it felt like we were, nothing could stop us.
Usually our ass was well handed down to you in any way, shape, or form, like land or anything like that. It sounds like you're going to say no.
So at this point, no, because I still have family alive. So I don't have anybody that handed anything down to me. And quite frankly, I'm not very close with anyone in my family. But over the years, I have grown relationship back with my dad, who, when I was, my parents were divorced when I was about 12 years old, and I lost contact with him for about 15 years. And then we reconnected. And after reconnecting and growing together, that relationship, now eventually when he passes away, they've told me that they're going to hand me down a 10-acre farm to me and whatnot. So I will have some stuff handed down, just not yet.
Not yet. I like the fact that you say you did reconnect with your dad. That's awesome there. The last question that I like to ask is, do you think it's our duty to hand generational wealth down to the next generation?
This is something that I actually think about quite a bit, especially now that I have 2 children of my own. Which, and they're growing like weeds. I got a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old, and it's something that I think about quite often. And I don't necessarily think that it's our job to hand the wealth down to them as much as I think it is our job to prepare them to be wealthy in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? In really every aspect of their lives, it's our job to prepare them to make good financial decisions so that they don't end up in debt and have to, constantly owe people money, and also to build those relationships, those trusting bonds.
Yeah, I like how you put that. It's our job to prepare them so they can handle whatever's thrown at them. That is one of the most important things, preparing them. So yeah, I like.
Well, it's something that I've thought about too, man, because I didn't have that growing up. Like I said, my parents, they separated, and I ran the streets. You know what I mean? I didn't have any parental guidance. So over the years, these are just things that I've learned for myself, and that I don't want my kids to have. You know what I mean? I don't want them to have to go through that struggle and learn the hard way. So if I can do anything that I can to prepare them for situations that they can prevent themselves from being in, then that's my job. That's my responsibility.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of times we find ourselves not as prepared as we should be ourselves. So we'll make sure that we instill that into our kids. And that's the whole reason I like to do podcast talks and talks about generational wealth and things like that. Just ideas in people, maybe someone isn't having the conversation that could change their life or change the way they think about something. So yeah, that's the reason for this podcast. But yeah, so now we're done with those questions. All right, so now I want to talk about blue collar jobs. It's a stigma out there that sometimes blue collar workers don't get enough respect. The plumber, the person that goes out there and clocks in on a construction job site every day, the roofers and things like that, just the people that actually do the hard labor. So some people think that hard work doesn't pay off in 2023. People think that you can do a lot of other things than work hard. And I feel like the culture out here, especially for the younger kids, by what they see on social media, just think about when I watch YouTube, a lot of times what I see is everybody's popping up on my feed talking about how you can make X amount of dollars doing the least amount of work. This is going to take you, 5 hours out of your day for the week or something, and you can make thousands of dollars. And, this type of programming is constantly being shown to the youth and anybody on YouTube. So everyone is thinking that, oh man, I can make money quick. I can make money quick. And that's what this generation, this new generation, the youth, they want everything quick. Everything quick. So do you think hard work still pays off?
Hard work definitely still pays off. And I say that because nothing comes quick at all. Nothing comes quick at all. And that's not just in the blue collar world. That's in the world, period. So a lot of these things, like you were saying, that you see on social media, these get rich quick things, spend 2 hours here, 3 hours there, 4 hours there, and you're going to make big money. I mean, I'm sure there's some way, somehow, that people can do that, but not everybody can do it like that. Somebody has found some secret method to do it, and that's why they're broadcasting it to other people, because they want those people to buy whatever it is that they're trying to sell to make them think that they can make that money quick. Does that make sense? So as far...
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And this is just for my own personal research and opinions, because trust me, I've fallen into some of those. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make money. But I think to answer your question, as far as, does hard work still pay off, especially in the blue collar world? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the biggest payoff for hard work is passion. People need to have, especially this day and age where, like you said, everybody wants things now, is you have to have passion for what you're doing. If you don't have passion for what you're doing, then you're not going to want to put in that hard work. Number one. Number two, if you do have passion for what you're doing, then it's not work. You know what I mean? Because you're passionate about it. You love it. You're putting your heart and soul into it, your blood, sweat, and tears. And this is actually a similar conversation that I had the other day with somebody. Actually, my manager at my current place of business, I had this similar conversation with her about it. If you got people that are passionate about what they're doing, then it's not work to them anymore. And this is easy. Just kind of rolling into a little bit of a leadership thing. As a leader, that's something that we kind of have to try to do with our people, is try to instill that value and inspiration into them that's going to draw that passion out and make them want to work harder. I kind of probably expanded on that a little more than you were looking for, but
man, you fine. You are fine. Because I too think there is value in hard work. One of the things you said, like when people are passionate about what they're doing, we got kids, right? I'm going to go to kids real quick, especially when you're talking about blue collar. All right. So, my kids, they watch things like Paw Patrol all day. And what do Paw Patrol do? They are first responders. Right. They're construction workers. They got one called Rubbling Crew. They're showing them construction workers. They doing welding. They're doing a lot of construction things. And my sons are like, yeah, I want to do that. Society, for some reason, they're making those jobs. Oh, you ain't getting paid that much. That job is not that valuable. But the kids, they actually are passionate about doing little things like that. I want to ride the fire truck. Do you know that a fireman, for some reason, don't make a whole lot of money? So who am I to say, nah, you got to get a different profession? I think as we get older, the value on those jobs, for some reason, I don't know, they should get paid more. That's what I
completely agree. And it also depends on where you are with those jobs too. Your location matters completely. If you're in rural Virginia and you're on the fire department, you're not going to be making money. You're a volunteer fireman. You know what I mean? But if you're a fireman in Chicago or New York City or Seattle, then you're probably going to make somewheres and upwards. And I'm not sure, I'm just throwing a number out there, but you're probably going to make somewheres up around, 70, 80,000 a year. I mean, I have a brother-in-law who's a police officer in the area that we live in. Currently, he made like around 40-50,000 a year as a sergeant, and he moved to Seattle and he makes 70-80,000 a year. So it all depends on your location and the demographic. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. You got to be willing to make moves to pursue, if you're passionate about it, make moves to pursue that passion, I guess.
Right. You got to be willing to make moves and sacrifices and things, like you said, if you're passionate about it. If it's something that you really want to do. And then with that being said, if it's something that you're passionate about and you really want to do it, you're going to put yourself in a situation that you're not going to live beyond your means. You know what I mean? So if you're not living beyond your means, then you can still live a rich, wealthy, fulfilling life. You know, you with your family, be able to go on vacations and do things. You don't necessarily have to be making $200,000 a year. You can have a $40,000 a year salary and be completely happy as you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about what you desire and what really brings you that happiness and peace inside. And back to the topic of the blue collar workers. I do think that people should give them more props just because they build everything. So let's think about if we didn't have the blue collar workers, or we didn't have the construction workers, or even just the people that, you know, put food on the shelves for you to go buy. Well, if people weren't there in those jobs, you know, the whole system would be collapsing. It would collapse.
Absolutely.
Right? I know you are a man of faith, but I do believe there's something about everyone has their place. You know, everyone has a place. People are meant to be in certain places. Just because they might not make as much, you should not devalue them. You know, because we need everybody in each position to make this thing work. So yeah, we want to shout out to the blue collar guys and make sure everyone knows that, you know, we appreciate every job out there, the highs, the lows, because everybody has a position to play. And like I said, this thing doesn't work without everybody playing their position. I would also like to say that hard work can pay off while you have that blue collar job. That job can lead you to other avenues of success. Like, you can work your blue collar job and still have different businesses going on. That blue collar job, for most people, I know for me, I don't know about you, Chad, but hard work and having that blue collar job gave me access to a lot of other things, because I was making money. I was making consistent money, and I was able to put in that work to get something that I could move things around like I want to. And you can take care of your family too. So like I said, those blue collar jobs, they are important. So don't, you know, negate those jobs.
Right.
You know,
and just to add to that, those blue collar jobs, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're stuck in that role. You can transfer your skills that you have into other positions. I'm a perfect example of that. You know, I came from, I've changed not only positions or grown in my position, but I've changed from the automotive industry into the steel and fabrication industry, and then not shortly there, you know, kind of wormed into the shipbuilding industry, and went from you know, an automotive mechanic to now I'm a superintendent. And one of the things that my boss now said to me was, I can teach you the superintendent part of things. I can't teach you the production side of things. So don't think because, you know, that you're a welder or a plumber or whatever the case may be, that you're stuck on your tools, because you're never stuck in the situation that you're in. You're never stuck in the job you're in. If you want to grow and you want to advance, or you want to change career paths, it takes work. Don't get me wrong. It takes work, but it is possible.
So we're going to wrap this up by saying, make sure you respect that 9 to 5.
That's right.
Respect the 9 to 5. Use the 9 to 5 to go and open up different doors for yourself. As Chad was saying, you can use those skills to move up. And then if you actually apply yourself and get in the league of the uppers, a lot of times you're going to realize that they don't even know what the people on the ground are doing. So you really can have a leg up on them, because like I said, a lot of those people haven't spent time on the ground, haven't put in the work, haven't got their hands dirty. So if you have that experience and you have gained knowledge and experience in leadership and things like that, you know, your growth potential is like limitless.
Absolutely.
So thanks, Chad, for coming on the podcast, man. I really enjoyed having you up here with us tonight.
And it has been an honor, and I am grateful that you extended your hand out to me and let me join you on here, brother. I appreciate it.
No problem. We are probably going to do plenty more together. So make sure you guys show Chad some love. Make sure y'all check his YouTube channel out. He does a lot over there. So make sure y'all check him out. My man Chad have you inspired and laughing at the same time. So make sure y'all check him out. All right. I appreciate y'all checking us out tonight.
Thank you.
Peace.